Tony Knowles, the 1982 Jameson title holder, whose fighting qualities this week have justified his ranking as the world #2, against the #1 Steve Davis, champion in '81 and '83. And they'll be continuing their monopoly of this trophy as they battle out the 17-frame final today. The reward for victory, £30,000, and those valuable world ranking points that will underline their preeminence as the world's top 2 players. Now, the rivalry started when Knowles thrashed Davis, then the holder, in the first round of the '82 World Championship, 10-1. But he hasn't beaten him since, although their matches are nearly always very close.
Tony's improved in the last sort of 4 years, and from being a player who wasn't in the seeding list and shot right up to in the top 4. And so, I mean, that's proof in itself how good he is.
Last year I played Steve in about 2 or 3 finals, and I think he beat me every time. And since when I beat him in the World Championships 10-1, there's a couple of times I've been in the lead and should have won the match, and he's come back at me, and he's just won the match at the end, very close.
It's exciting playing against good players. You do get a much more of a sort of feeling inside than when you're going out to play somebody who's not so much of a record.
I think he does go under pressure every now and again, but there's only a few players that do put him under pressure. And it's also very difficult to put him under pressure. You've got to keep on top of him, you've got to keep him on the back cushion, and then you've got to wait till he starts making mistakes.
We've had some tough games. I'm a few in front, but that doesn't mean anything at all.
Now, it's what happens today that matters. So here we go now with frame 1, and the commentary team are Mark Wildman and John Pullman.
First frame, Tony Knowles to break.
And the handshake's all completed, and it's Tony Knowles who breaks off in the first frame. Best of 17 frames, this final, playing for a total prize money of £48,000, £30,000 going to the winner. And a picture of a young man there who had such tremendous success in the last 3 or 4 years. So it's first blood to Tony Knowles. Can pot the black. It's not really the angle that he would have liked. It's not going to be too easy to get onto another red.
Eight.
And looks as if he might just have managed that. Red on into the corner pocket.
Nine.
So a good chance for Tony Knowles to collect a few points in the initial stages of this first frame.
16. 17. $24. 25.
And the best possible start from Tony Knowles here. Always nice to get in early in the match and pot a few balls and get settled down. And that's 4 reds and 4 blacks.
$33.
Yes, and this is rather unusual for Tony in this tournament. He hasn't had a good start in the previous 3 matches. Had to play from behind against Steve Newberry, Jimmy White and Silvino Francisco.
40.
But came through with fine snooker. And the balls haven't broken too kindly
47.
for Tony there. Be interesting to see whether Tony attempts the cut red into the corner pocket, take the white down to the table for the black, or just to play safe. He's got a 47-point lead in this first frame. Well, he may have spoilt that nice little 47 break by putting that red on for Steve Davis. And Steve with an angle on this black to go into the reds.
$8. Steve Davis, 8.
Oh, just look at those reds. So the first one of these two players that can knock a red in and get nicely on a colour should collect quite a few points.
One.
Well, no easy colour on here. He could chance his arm at that pink. Certainly can't afford to miss it with the reds all out in the open as they are. And electing for a safety shot.
Tony Knowles, 1.
Well, he'll be pleased with that.
Yes, Tony Knowles has the grip on this frame at the moment, but there is still plenty of balls for Steve Davis to get back on terms, and you can see how this crucial first frame develops in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Jameson final, which we left at 48-8 in Tony Knowles' favour against Steve Davis in the first frame. Then followed a spell of cautious safety play, and as we rejoin it, the score is exactly the same. Steve Davis at the table.
Well, this is a very tight game. Neither player wishing to take an unnecessary chance. Tony could probably play an easier safety shot off that red on the side cushion here, but he doesn't wish to move that. Well, he's made a mess of that shot. And he's certainly let Steve Davis in with a chance here. Quite easy for Steve to get onto this black.
One. Eight. 9.
And Steve Davis using the little extension cue piece there that most players seem to favour these days. A very, very good idea. Makes the cue a couple of feet longer just for that one shot. A good chance here to split up the 3 reds that are behind the black. Have they come favourably? Doesn't look to be too good from here.
16.
Steve Davis just 24 points in arrears now. 5 reds left on the table.
Steve Davis, 16.
And once again, Tony Knowles has made a mistake. Had a go at potting that red. It's left it on into the baulk pocket.
One.
And the pink on into the same pocket, but a little straighter than Steve would have liked, I think. And tremendous screw shot there to get the cue ball back up to the table onto the reds. Is he going to finish behind the black?
7.
Well, looks as if he's been unlucky once again. 2 reds there that he might have got on. Covered them both with the black.
Steve Davis, 7. Tony Knowles, 48. Steve Davis, 31.
Tony Knowles now 17 points in front.
And Steve's weight of shot on these return to baulk is absolutely perfection. Time after time, he's getting that white ball on that baulk cushion and putting Tony under pressure. Tony missed the dangerous double kiss there by just a fraction.
this fast frame already been in progress 26 minutes and still 4 reds on the table. A very cautious start here from both players.
That could have turned out quite a bit worse for Tony Knowles than it has done. The red will pot into the corner pocket, but the position would be a bit obscure, and the pot isn't easy, so Steve's going to take that white ball back up to baulk again. Well, that's another superb shot by Steve.
Foul. Steve Davis, 4.
So that earned Steve 4 points. Tony just a little fortunate in so much as that white ball cannoned off that yellow and has landed over that middle pocket. The cueing, not very easy. Well, that was a bit of a pressure ball that Steve missed. And he's done the same to Tony that Tony did to himself a shot earlier. The white ball's landed plumb on the side cushion. If that had been 2 or 3 inches off, Tony could quite reasonably have expected to win the frame from this position. But this first pot is mighty difficult. That was a great shot.
Eight. Nine. $16. Tony Knowles, 16. Steve Davis, 35. Tony Knowles, 64.
Well, that's a red that he would have expected to get, and that could have put him into a winning situation in this first frame. As it is, he's 29 points in front now, still 43 points on the table. And snookered on both reds.
Yes, that was an amazing miss by Tony at his previous visit to the table. He really only needed to have knocked that red in and taken a black, and Steve would have required snookers. It's a very different story now. He's going to play off the right side cushion and the opposite side cushion to try and nestle in behind that red that's up. No, he's not. He's going direct off this left cushion. He wants to play this. Well, he surprised me there. I would have thought he would have tried to have nestled against the red, but he seemed to have got out of it reasonably well.
Well, once again, a chance gone astray by Tony Knowles. Wasn't an easy pot, that, into the middle pocket, but one that I'm sure he would have expected to get. Now, can Steve Davis knock in this long red into the baulk pocket? Certainly inviting. He can get nicely on the black with that. Well, missed the pot, but it's gone reasonably safe. Once again, the cue ball down to the baulk end, I would suspect. Well, that's certainly paid dividends. Not often that professional players, particularly at this stage of the game, play doubles, and that one fluked into the baulk pocket. Tony seemed to be having a little bit of a rush of blood at the moment.
1.
30 points in front. That's 35 points possible on the table.
One.
Now, of course, the ball's not very favourably placed for a clearance. The brown and blue are in pretty awkward positions. In fact, didn't even make an attempt to get onto the yellow. Quite happy to get 8 points and play a safety stroke.
Steve Davis, 8.
So Tony Knowles, 22 points in front, 27 points on the table.
Well, here's a chance for Steve to knock this yellow in. He can screw back to the other side of the green and pot it into the left-hand baulk pocket. Blue won't go into the right-hand baulk pocket, so this could be a chance.
2.
And the saving grace for Tony is that brown ball, tight on that side cushion. $20 points the difference.
Five.
Well, it could be that Steve's thinking of having a go at this brown. It's a mighty difficult pot. Or is he having second thoughts?
Steve Davis, 5.
Well, that's a pretty good shot. Looks like a snooker. So, Steve Davis, 17 points behind, 22 points on the table. And can just clip the brown, it seems.
And aided by just a little snick on that pink. That looks like another snooker. May just be able to touch the brown. That looks too soft.
Foul, Tony Knowles, 4.
So the difference now 21 points. Still enough balls on the table for Steve Davis to win.
Well, I think this brown is potable, but it's a bit of a snick along the baulk cushion. Pretty risky one to take on, I would suggest. Oh, that was a great shot. One had to be brave to play that one.
9.
Yeah, it looks as if he's come a little too far for that. Can pot the pink into the middle, but I don't think he's going to be able to get onto the black very easily. "12 points behind with 13 points on the table." Well, that was a great effort to get the cue ball up the table, but this is certainly a tough black. And a great shot. And the white is safe, so it's Steve Davis who takes the first frame, goes into a 1-frame-to-0 lead.
So having been 47 ahead, Tony Knowles loses that important first frame by a single point. Davis doing his usual trick of taking the opener. Here's frame 2.
As Steve Davis breaks off in frame number 2 of this 17-frame final match of the 1984 Jameson International. Leading at the moment, 1 frame to love. And his opponent, from Bolton, Lancashire, Tony Knowles.
One. Steve Davis, 1.
Well, that's knocked a few reds out into the open, but Steve's got a pot on here.
One. 5. Steve Davis, 5.
Well, the red next to the pink goes into this corner pocket.
1. Seven. 8. 14. 15. 22.
Well, doesn't appear to be a red on here.
Steve Davis, 22.
And that 22 break puts Steve Davis into a 28-point lead. Once again, Steve Davis pulling off quite a brilliant safety shot. about that for a pot? He played a safety shot with the idea of pushing that red up towards the pocket, and I suppose the pot was a bonus. It's worth noting that Steve wouldn't have had an easy shot on should Tony have missed that pot.
Tony Knowles, 1.
Well, that could prove disastrous for Tony Knowles.
One.
And a couple of reds available. In fact, 3 reds available for Steve Davis here. The one closest to the black will go. And 2 reds in the pack of reds will go into the same right-hand corner pocket. There's still something about it that he doesn't appear to relish. Oh.
Foul.
And that was a disaster
Davis, 1.
for Steve
Tony
Davis.
Knowles, 6.
Inadvertently knocking the blue in there. So, the last few minutes, it's all happening. Now Tony Knowles in with a chance.
One. Six.